Treasury Star Parade. Produced under the personal direction of William A. Beecher, with Vincent Price as our master of ceremonies, David Brookman and the Treasury Orchestra and Chorus, and our two special guests, the great American poet Carl Sandburg and one of our finest American baritones, Conrad Thibault.
This is Vincent Price, ladies and gentlemen, in another of the programs brought to you by the Treasury Department. Today we have a very special treat for you in the person of Mr. Carl Sandburg. You all know him and know his poetry. Mr. Sandburg is an American and part of our prairies, our industries, our cities, and our towns. He knows them, loves them, and writes about them. He knows them firsthand, too. He left school at the age of 13 to drive a milk truck. He worked in brickyards and potteries and in the Kansas wheat fields. He listened to the voice of America and learned how it talked. And then he began to write about it. Poems like his famous Chicago, The People, Yes, books like his immortal biography of Lincoln, and collections of Americana like his tuneful, lusty, magnificent compilation of American folk songs, The American Song Bag. Mr. Sandburg, Conrad Thibault, and David Brookman have put their heads together and pulled out of the song bag four of the greatest songs to come out of America, full of its laughter, its power, and its new rawness. Such songs as Sweet Betsy from Pike, a rollicking ballad of the ups and downs of the covered wagon days of the 1840s. It's droll, don't care, bleary and leering. And I think you'll agree that Conrad Thibault and our boys have caught the ribald spirit of it. At it, boys.
Don't you remember sweet Betsy from Pike, who crossed the big mountains with her lover Ike, with 2 yoke of cattle, a large yellow dog, a tall Shanghai rooster, and 1 spotted hog. Saying goodbye, Pike County, farewell for a while. They soon reached the desert where Betsy came out, and down in the sand she lay rolling about, while Ike in great tears looked on in surprise, saying, Betsy, get up, you get sand in your eyes. Ike and sweet Betsy attended a dance, where Ike wore a pair of his Pike County pants. Sweet Betsy was covered with ribbons and rings. Quoth Ike, you're an angel, but where are your wings? Long Ike and sweet Betsy got married, of course, but Ike, getting jealous, obtained a divorce. And Betsy, well satisfied, said with a shout, goodbye, you big lummox, I'm glad you backed out. Say goodbye, dear Isaac, farewell for a
while. The steel-driving men who toiled in the tunnels and on the railroads had their own song, a working-class song straight from the men on the job, Driving Steel.
Driving steel, driving steel, driving steel, boys, it's hard work, I know. Driving steel, driving steel, driving steel, boys, it's hard work, I know. Treat me right, treat me right, treat me right, boys, I'm bound to stay all day. Treat me wrong, treat me wrong, treat me wrong, boys,
laughed and brawled in lusty delight when it was young, but it also had its tender, sentimental moments. Here, for instance, is a song meant to be sung by a lone horseman silhouetted against a distant horizon in the long western twilight, when the curtains of night are pinned back.
When the curtains of night are pinned back by the stars, and the beautiful moon sweeps the sky, I'll remember you, love, in my prayers.
Across the mountains and plains and deserts of the West, the horse, the mule, and the burro were the overland freighters. But then the boxcar came to give the cruel desert spaces a friendly and human look. And as the work gangs spiked rails and ties, and the eastern and western gangs came closer together, this song arose, full of jubilation and laughter, the Great Pacific Railway.
The Great Pacific Railway for California hail. Bring on the locomotive, lay down the iron rail. Across the rolling prairies, by steam we're bound to go. The railroad cars are coming, humming through New Mexico. The railroad cars are coming, humming through New Mexico. The Great Pacific Railway for California hail. Bring on the locomotive, lay down the iron rail. Across the rolling prairies, by steam we're bound to go. The railroad cars are coming, humming through New Mexico. The railroad cars are coming, humming through New Mexico.
Thank you, Conrad Thibault and David Brookman. Some years ago, ladies and gentlemen, I was privileged to spend an hour aboard one of the greatest ships in the world. Thousands of tons of potential power and speed and beauty, with its flat deck and graceful lines. A few weeks ago, the newspapers printed a photograph of that same ship. But now, with smoke billowing from her seams and her men forced to abandon her at sea, for just a few hours after this picture was taken, she slipped with a mighty roar and a vast shuddering sigh beneath the waters of the Coral Sea. We have asked Mr. Sandberg to read his poem of tribute to the great ship Lexington and to her gallant crew.
Weep not for me, though I am a wreck at the bottom of the sea, shed no tears for me. I am remembered by a photograph showing one of my last great moments. Down to the waters of the sea, sliding down ropes, you will see the men of my crew. Down they slide to the open sea, where waiting boats pick them up. On the floor of the sea I rest now, the USS Lexington, an aircraft carrier. I shall be remembered for punishment I gave the enemy, I and my crewmen. Maybe you heard how the men of the ship acted before they left me. Maybe you heard how they took their shoes and lined them in nice, neat rows on the flight deck. And the Admiral saying in Chicago later, "Sure they did exactly that. Nothing surprising. Sailors are orderly people." Tell that Chicago boy, John Kmetek, I'm sorry about him, and I know his heartache. I saw him swimming quite a while before he was picked up. And I believe his telling the home folks he couldn't take another last look at me. A good cook and a mighty nice musician, John Kmetek, if you ask me. Shaking a mean pan of eggs, and in the cool of the evening, handy with the accordion. Not satisfied till he had $1,000 accordion. His best pal, that accordion. Swimming in the open sea just before I sank out of sight for all time. Kmetek couldn't take another last look. And Kmetek came near crying. Two things he loved were fading from him. A ship and an accordion. Weep not for me, the USS Lexington, nor the shoes of the crew in nice rows on the flight deck, nor John Kmetek, nor his $1,000 accordion now soaking in sea salt water. The same sweet crew shall have another ship, and they will line new shoes in nice rows. And if and when Kmetek plays sad music on his new accordion, they will know he is remembering old loves. Postscript and footnote. When these lines were printed in newspapers over the country, there were many fine and sentimental Americans who decided to raise the money for a new accordion for Kmetek. And he played at San Diego one evening on a national hookup before an immense audience. And now, Kmetek is way out somewhere on the Pacific. And in the cool of the evening, he is probably playing his new accordion to his new shipmates.
Thank you, Carl Sandburg. Thank you for immortalizing for the world this tragic and heroic story. The story of the Lexington helps us realize where we stand today as Americans. In every branch of the service, air, land, and sea, ships and planes and equipment are being lost. On far-flung battlefronts, men are giving their lives to preserve American ideals, American freedom and democracy. And here at home, we have our job to do, to manufacture and build and transport the materials of war to the battlefields. Our watchword is to fight, to work, and to save. The United States Treasury is faced with the monumental task of financing America's war effort. To do that, it must have money. And so you have been asked, all of us have been asked, to invest, not give, but invest as much as we can possibly afford every week or every payday in United States war savings bonds. Have you answered your war bond quota call? If you haven't, do it today. Remember, every dollar you invest in United States war savings bonds and stamps, you are investing in the future security of America. This is your country. Keep it yours.